All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. A joint protection of persons and property subcommittee and town council meeting September 29th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Veterans Room. The agenda, I call the meeting to order. Roll call. Julian?
Present.
Rivas?
Present.
Shinya?
Yep, present.
Montigny absent? Excused.
It's his birthday.
Yeah, it's his birthday.
Sorry.
Lazo present. Moving on to agenda item number 3. Discuss the town manager's appointment of Michael Como as a sealer, weights and measures inspector effective immediately. Entertain a motion to submit to town council for confirmation.
So moved.
Motion by Julian,
Second.
second by Shinya. Discussion. Tim?
Yes, so, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Before Mr. Pelletier had left, as you know, he was our building commissioner, and I had talked to him about filling this position, and he was going to interview some candidates, and unfortunately, he did interview Mr. Como, and he never left me a recommendation. The position was advertised. I had since gone back after a couple of counselors had asked me what the status was. I went back and reviewed the applications, and clearly Mr. Como was the most qualified individual, and I called him back and asked him if he was still interested, and he indicated that he was. So I wanted to bring this forward as soon as possible, as the existing sealer of weights and measures is looking to give up the position, so we need somebody to hand the reins over to.
Discussion by committee.
Did we get his resume, like qualifications?
Yep. I got his application. I don't know.
Did you get his app?
It might be possible with the change in staff and the new, we had to add Mr. Chenier. He wrote me an email the other day to make sure that he got the AHS packet, and maybe it was just an oversight council reason, so I'll make sure that you're added in the email list. But Mr. Como had worked the facilities up at the school for at least 20 years, I want to say, recently retired. And the existing weights and measures, he's related by marriage. And
Never mind.
it's also my understanding that Mr. Como has helped out the existing sealer of weights and measures and understands a little bit about the position and what to do. So he will get trained by the outgoing inspector.
Just on a heads up, I think from what I'm hearing, the equipment is got some age on it also that they work with. And I know that we have a tremendous amount of weights and measures in Southbridge between the markets, the gas stations, oil trucks, anything to do with a meter. So, we'll fill a position. It's nice to have the gentleman that was sitting in the position to be there to train him. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Number 4, vote Massachusetts Energy Management Agency, MEMA, grant funding to capped at $50,000 per project for emergency backup generator power for shelters at the Senior Center building to provide electric power to support the energy shelter operations. Entertain a motion to recommend the town council for approval and to authorize the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Motion by Julian,
Second.
second by Shinya. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, and the rest of the subcommittee members. This is one of 3 EMPG grants that we're currently working on. This one was approved and accepted through MEMA, FEMA organization. This was a competitive grant. I didn't get the number of grant applications there were, but there were only 11 or 12 grants that were approved at $50,000. So there's other towns all over the state that have gotten these. In conjunction with TJ Edwards, who is our MEMA guy, MEMA, emergency manager, assistant emergency manager, for us. Basically, worked together, put together a couple of quotes for it. The grant itself sits at, was supplying the town a generator, the wiring, and the service switch. So that's almost 50 grand of the grant. So the grant has that. I've already had conversation, I'll just go on a little bit more to explain what's gonna happen after that. I've already spoke with Dave Adams with some opera funds to continue the process of the install. The install is gonna be done between, we just had a meeting, was that Tuesday, TJ? Tuesday morning with acting DPW director, Michael Tail from the school department, because we're gonna use the town's electrician. We got a bunch of things on the agenda for Dave's to try to fund that piece of it. DPW is gonna do the groundwork, pour the pad, well, engineer it first, pour the pad, potentially, we're getting quotes on fencing for it, on the outside of the senior center. Like I said, the town electrician will do the conduit and the wiring and the connections inside the building. Gas line work is gonna be done by National Grid. There is a gas line right next to the spot where we're gonna be putting it. So right now, we're in the infancy stages of getting those figures and quotes to Dave, so we can have, we're gonna talk about it again next week, October 6th meeting, I think, is the opera meeting. We'll talk about it again. If I have some of the figures from the DPW director and the town electrician, I'll have a much more solid number, but we're thinking $30,000 to $50,000 for install. So that's it. This is a quote that, a grant that was competitive. TJ wrote most of it up, and I dotted the i's across the t's. This is pretty good for Southbridge. We got picked out of quite a few other towns to do this. So.
Discussion. Julian?
Through you. On here it says the emergency management grant funding is capped at $50,000 per project. You said it's $50,000 for the generator, and then it's additional to do all the hookup. So this says per project. Are we getting both of them covered by this, or are we getting more money somewhere else?
No, well, we're going to get more money, hopefully, from opera.
Okay.
To continue the project, because although we know that the shelter is in need of some repairs with a lot of other things, the ARPA monies would be able to install the generator. I'm guessing, again, at another $30,000 to $50,000. So it's only $50K
Okay.
for the generator, the wiring, and the service switch.
Okay. Thank you.
Chief, the old generator that's there, does that go back to Tri-Epic, or does it stay ownership of the town?
It's going to be the ownership of the town.
Can it be used somewhere else?
We had that discussion. When we do get DPW director, we can, obviously, they maintain, the DPW director maintains facilities. We can put it in cold storage if it happens quickly, but I don't think it's going to. But we can put it in cold storage and discuss what other towns need a generator. We talked about this building. I don't think that current generator is big enough to run this building. So we'd have to do something. We'll work on getting some sort of plan, but we are gonna keep it and we'll be used somewhere else in town.
For you, where is this gonna be located, at the community center?
The community center. Community/senior center/pandemic vaccination center. So yes, it's, if you go around the backside of the building, if you don't know where it is when you're coming up by the ball field, the current one is stuck up against the building. It still has wheels on it. This one's gonna be on the other side of the park, of that road going down, right at the little island cul-de-sac where the fence ends. So there's a 12 by 12 area.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So this is, as you said, it's just for the generator, the wiring, and the transfer switch. That'll cover, the $50,000 will cover all of that.
Correct. One of the quotes we had was $48,000 for those three things that I mentioned.
And the quote is from who?
It's a Kohler generator. It's the company that we did you actually just signed a contract for, Power Product Systems LLC. They're the ones who keep up the generator for the fire station and the senior center right now. They come in and do the maintenance. It's through them. And then we have another company coming Wednesday, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday. I have to check my schedule again. And that's the company that the DPW just used for a look and give us another quote.
So could you include that in the town council packet when it comes time for, going out for the, job? The quotes from this Power Products LLC, what type of generator it is, you think it's
So
a,
you-
it's a Kohler?
Yes.
Yes, I don't need 20 pages, but I mean.
Well, that's why I try to limit it this, because I do have quotes that come up. This first quote is 3 pages. We're gonna get another one after this other company, and then there'll be another 3 or 4 pages. There'll be a description of the unit and stuff. I can put those in the packet,
Alright,
or I can just email them to you, if that would be easy.
no, I think the town hall councilors should
Okay.
have a chance to look at that. Now, this is, it says here that it's an emergency backup generator for 50,000, and then it says info structure upgrades. Is that a typo or info? Is
Oh,
that
it should
the
say
union
Infra-
infra?
infrastructure.
Alright. I thought maybe that was another project that would qualify for another 50,000.
No, so that would be our in-kind, to finish the completion of the install of it, and that was an estimate. They need, because they're not gonna, MEMA's not gonna give you a generator if you don't have a plan to put it in.
Okay,
They're just not gonna do that.
I just wondered what info meant. I thought maybe that was another problem.
Any further discussion?
I'm all set, thank you.
Chief, is this on the state bid list too?
All companies will be on the state bid
So
list.
you don't have to go out for bid? And the other thing is, once this is installed and up and running, that is gonna be I forget the class they call it, for an emergency shelter for the community, because they have full power for heating, air conditioning, lighting, where versus the other facilities that the schools don't have that ability, right, correct?
Correct.
Just one more question, if you don't mind. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Is it always wise to go to the state bid list, or is it sometimes better to put it out to bid?
For procurement purposes, it's better to go off the state bid list. Generally, that number is lower than if we were to go in a market and try to get a generator like that. So it also gives you the ability, thankfully, this one is under $50,000, so you do not have to get a request for proposal because anything above 50,000, you'd have to go out and do bids and the whole 9 yards. So it is better to go off the state bid list, yeah.
TM?
And I was just gonna echo, generally the state has significantly more power to attract and use the economies of scale to leverage. Anybody that's on that list knows they're gonna get more business than they were getting with an individual community, so you can generally get a better price there. But, you know, that might be fine for this, but a lot of times we're looking for specialized things. We do look at state bid lists, but a lot of things, you know, we do an RFP for specialized services, but something, a fixed, you know, a chair, a computer, or something that it doesn't have to be customized, you can get off that state bid list, usually at a better price.
All right?
Any further discussion? Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chair, through you, how much of the building is this generator gonna run?
Right now, we're hoping for the entire building. We did take into account the new potential heat and AC systems going into it. A lot of those heat and AC systems right now, we're looking at it through the process, talking with Pat Haddock, is that they're trying to do split units in the office areas. The big side of the gymnasium, probably we won't be able to put AC in it. We'll have to use the fans and stuff like that, but it won't. The AC unit for that is going to be another whole unit like we had at the vaccination center. If you remember those big pipes that came in, that was the AC unit, and we rented that unit for that time. But we would be able to get some circulated air into that area, and if we had to, we could call for an AC unit like we had before. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanna make one more qualification that not every item you go to purchase is on a state bid.
Right.
They have different contracts that come out at different times, and you might want widget A, and on the contract list is only widget B. So, you know, I just wanna make it clear that not every time you need something is there a contract up or the exact item you want. So, you know, there are times when it is advantageous to use it, and other times when it's advantageous to do your own procurement, so. But it does, if the item is there, and if it is at a price that's favorable to you, taking it off that list allows you to bypass the other standard procurement procedures, so.
Yeah.
You, what happens to the generator that's there? Can it be
oh, it's just, we're gonna put it in cold storage for now, and then try to find a property in town that could use it, or we could use it for an emergency hookup. It's mobile, it's got wheels on it, so it can be towed to a place that needs, a building that needs it. And, thankfully, we got a town electrician that's readily available, that's happened recently, so that's why they're doing the project.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number, thanks, chief.
Yep, you're welcome.
Agenda item number 5, review and discuss the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security Grant Award in the amount of $5,000 available under the FY 2020 Burn JAG reallocating grant based on the Southbridge Police Department 2022 address verification program. Entertain a motion to recommend to Town Council for approval and to authorize Town Manager to sign all documents. Fair motion.
Second.
Motion and a second by Julian, second by Shinya. Discussion? Chief?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I apologize, that's the only language that we could put on that agenda, it's a little bit it's difficult, like it's the wording the state uses. So this is our second year for this grant program. Only 14 other police departments in the state have it. I don't know why more don't apply for it. It's essentially an address verification program that we track sex offenders for. This pays our police officers, that usually are detectives that are assigned to investigate sex crimes. They go out once a week, a couple times a month, and they make sure that all the level 2s and 3s are living where they're supposed to be living. Because if not, we immediately take them into custody for violation. Pretty important. I can't believe that it took the state until last year to start funding things like this. They do it all around the state. Unfortunately for us, we've got as many sex offenders living here as like the city of Framingham does, so we have to keep our thumb on these men and women, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So again, second year of the program, and I intend on doing it for as long as we can get money for it.
Discussion? Questions? Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So this is the total amount that they would give us, $5,000. They wouldn't give us any more than this? That doesn't seem like very much.
I understand through you, Mr. Chair, that's the max award amount. They've got a couple $100,000 in that account, I believe, but they top you out no matter how large or small you are at 5,000. Hopefully, in the future, they increase it when they see how well it's working, but that's what the cap is right now.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous vote present. Number 6, review and discuss the standard contract between the town of Southbridge and Quinsigamon Community College for the amount of $50,000 for police details and coverage for our Southbridge site being beginning July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Entertain a motion to recommend the town council ratify the standard vendors contract for the QCC and to authorize the town manager to sign all documents. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Julian, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Rivas.
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is again the second year of a contract. As everybody in this room knows, Quincy has a campus, a satellite campus at our local middle high school. And part of the agreement, and I'm not sure why it was done, but the Quincy and Worcester part of the agreement was with the staff at Quincy that we would have a full-time police officer on site at the Southbridge satellite campus year-round. And that's what this contract essentially pays, to have a police officer at that school. Quinsig also has a police officer at that school from Quinsig that's there during the day. I have 2 SROs there during the day, but they want someone there 3 to 11. That's what this contract is. And they're having a hard time filling, Quinsig, I should say, the police officers from there. They're having a hard time having staff to staff that school. So our people are there, but this just kind of front loads the money, so the town's never out the money. Once we sign the contract, they send the money, and we just pay our police officers whatever we don't use, we get back. So the town will never be on the hook.
Mr. Chairman?
Chief, so in the event that you can't get salvage cops, surrounding communities can come in and do it too?
Yes, but we have not had that problem. We didn't have it all last year, and we haven't had it yet this year.
Okay.
Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So what exactly does the police officers do over there? They check people for weapons? Or-
We, as security, we stay on the Quincy side from 3 to 11. We walk the halls, walk the parking lots, walk the perimeter of the building, just to make the students, I guess, when they see you, they feel safer. I mean, our SROs do a lot more with the middle and high school kids, cause it's needed. But as far as the college kids that are up there 3 to 11, it's kinda, you know, it's out in the middle of nowhere, it gets dark early, there's not a lot of people up there, it's safer to have someone park a car out in the front,
Right,
basically from 7 in the morning to 11 at night is what it comes down to.
that's a good idea. I mean, it's a 1-year contract, so $50,000 is enough for 1 year.
Last year, we were here in the same, well, mostly the same council, it was $100,000 and we didn't even come close to that. So this year they reduced it to 50. That's about the ballpark where it will take, because remember, they have a lot of time off, you know, holiday breaks, things like that. So this just runs to June 30th,
And how many nights?
5 days a week,
5 days a
Yep.
week?
3 to 11.
50,000 would
Yep.
do it, huh? All right. That's it, thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Moving on to number 7, update on Sacred Heart Church.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I did speak to Mr. Tatro this week, who, as you know, has been helping out. He did send a final demand letter to Rivera Construction, telling them that if they didn't take action, the town was gonna go forward and take the action on its own and lien the property. I had a conversation a little while back with our town attorney about the best way to do this, because I did not want to put the lien necessarily on the church, because the owner owns several buildings there. They're related, but they're all separate property numbers, but I wanted to be able to put the lien on some of the more attractive properties, so that in the event he wanted to sell and leave us the church, we would be able to recoup. So there is a way we could do that. We could take a contract action, put an attachment on the property. So we'll wait to see what the response is to this final demand from Mr. Tatro. And if need be, we'll come to the council to take this down, and then we'll put a lien or an attachment on this property to get it to do.
Mr. Marquetti?
Well, I'll yield to your committee.
Mr. Senior?
I asked Scott to put this on the agenda tonight, and the reason is that back in June 13th, they sent a proposal to the town to do certain things, and they were waiting for this proposal to be accepted from the town, and I believe it's never been accepted by the town. And it was in the cost of $36,000 to take the towers down, fence the site, obtain the permit, do 4-point monitoring, supply asbestos label for final covering, supply all supplies to contain debris, test samples for DEP, dispatch 100,000 UHD to the site, demolish towers only, and cover the complete structure per DEP specs. And that was by F&D Trucking Company. So, I mean, is it partly our fault that this isn't done, that hasn't been accepted by the town?
I would have to check with Mr. Tatro and Mr. Julian, because I don't know where Mr. Pelletier left it.
Right, this was sent to Mr. Julian.
Well, a lot of times things would go to Mr. Julian, but at the time, he can't sign off on certain things, it would have to be the building commissioner, so I would have to check. I don't have Mr. Julian here too.
Do we have a time frame that Teddy's gonna do, or Mr. Tatro's gonna do for, I mean, winter's coming.
Yep.
We're gonna get ice, freezing
Yeah.
rain, those kind of things, it's,
My understanding from Mr. Tatro was he was giving him 7 days to act.
okay. My other question is, the school is falling in the same type of disrepair. There's broken windows there. Is there any way that we can order them to board the building up and secure the building? Because I'm afraid that it's gonna be a situation that's gonna happen during this winter of homeless people going into the school like they were going into the church. And even though the fence is really, today there was a bunch of kids within the fence at the church site when I was going down to football practice tonight at 5:30. They were in the church area. It's not really secured that well. But is there any way that we can, even if the town has to board that building up and lean it, it would give that much more, because they've owned this property since 2018 and done nothing really to speak of. I know they worked on that back housing and did some repairs inside for the caregiver, and I don't even know if he's there anymore. But they've done nothing since 2018. And I just think with winter time coming that we need to act now so we don't have a catastrophic failure of that building, because truthfully, if we do have a catastrophic failure, even if it's just a facade, that it's going to either hit the house next door or it'll go into the street, because you know how it is. And I just think that we need, as a town, to act on it and do something sooner now than later, before the snow flies.
Just a quick follow-up. You said 7 days from when?
If you would indulge me, I can go grab the letter, because I got the copy of the letter this afternoon, and I think from today's date, because I believe it was being,
I mean, worst case scenario, it's today's date, but
well, I know he brought the letter in today because he comes over on Thursdays, and I asked him about it last week, you know, have we heard further, and they said they would draft the final notice to him today. So it went out today, I believe, in regular and certified mail. That's customary to send it both ways. So he'll get it, and probably upon receipt of that letter, once he signs for it, or it's presumed delivered, if it doesn't come back in the regular mail, I could have either let me go up and get it, or I can get some additional details from Monday.
I mean,
I believe it, I mean.
yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't think you have to get it today, but I think, I'm not a big fan of the government getting involved in people's private buildings and stuff, but the thing that really concerns me is the collapsing and someone getting killed. That, you know, it's not that a little kid does it intentionally, but those fences are not exactly locked down. They've got I don't know if it's a church or a little school across the street with some high fencing around there. One kid goes over there, one piece of granite off the thing, and all of a sudden they're gonna say, what did the town do about this building? So, I mean, I think it's a safety concern more than, you know, financial. I do like your approach on the treating the facilities, because they're all owned on the same, you separate them on separate property, but if we have an avenue to attach the rectory, that's the one that's in good shape. I mean, the school does have concerns.
People in the neighborhood tell me they hear stones almost
They're
on a
always
regular
falling.
basis falling off the building.
And as it gets colder with the
Right.
rain, if there's water behind there,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen
I
again.
mean, I hate to see the town spend the money to secure it, but I feel at some point in time, because of what we're gonna spend to take it down, that the building is not salvageable. I find it very hard if it is gonna be salvageable, but if he doesn't come up with the funds to pay for it, the town's gonna inherit probably a nice piece of property at some point in time.
Mr. Marquetti?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I went over there last week, I think it was, during some nice weather, and it's getting worse. There's some large chunks of brick, granite, whatever is falling off of there. So it is getting worse. While I was there, I didn't go beyond the fence, but while I was standing there, the guy who does the maintenance there, he came out and he talked to me for a while. He said the guy's plan is to take the towers, just the top of the towers, just bring them down. That was his plan.
That's what he said, but I don't know that he's.
I don't know either, so he sounded to me like he wasn't sure either whether he's gonna be able to do it. It is getting worse though, so it's something that we really need to take a look at,
Mhm.
so that's all.
Julian?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Shinny just stated that you don't think the building is salvageable.
My personal opinion.
Wasn't there an architectural engineer that went in there
Mhm.
and checked the whole
Yeah.
thing and said just the towers were the problem?
Right.
Right. And
And that is what the problem is right now.
I
Right.
think there was some not structural issues, facade issues. Because there's,
Right.
take me if I'm wrong, there's like
But it's just-
multiple layers of.
Just the towers.
Right,
not the
but
building.
it's just on the towers, it's not on the
Right.
building.
Right.
Okay. I
But-
just wanted to make sure that I was clear with,
But
what
the
was
part that
really being
concerns me was the demolition of the towers only. It says here, it doesn't say exactly how much.
My understanding is to come down to the roof line.
Right,
Right.
but then the problem is, he says that he's going to do damage to the roof. So I don't know if the DEP is requiring them to cover the roof afterwards.
Well, no, it's not a DEP.
Well, that's what it says, DEP's, whatever that means.
No, I understand that, but it's, DEP comes in is if there's a hazardous roofing material or something like that.
Oh, okay.
The company that you handed out is very reputable and knowledgeable in those areas. But the thing is, when this first happened, we had to find out what the integrity of the towers were. Everybody seems to be saying that the integrity of towers down to the roof level, they have to come down minimum to that level. And that's where it's at. But the 7-day notice is more what I'm concerned with, because no matter what you think is happening over there, the commissioner, the building commissioner has to follow the paperwork. And the paper trail is, once they give them that notice, it's 7 days, then you're gonna get the answers that you need.
But again, what kind of blight are we going to have for how long after those towers are taken down? You know what I'm saying? He's done nothing since 2018. He's being forced into doing something now to at least stabilize the towers, take them down. And then we're gonna have a half church, half taken down, and a blighted, that we've been trying not to have in our community. So shouldn't he be given like a period of time or notice that he needs to commence work on that building? Is there such a thing to do?
Again, the commissioner will handle that, the timing of it, the integrity of it, and the portion of it. As far as the whole building, I mean, there's a lot of building there. The
Right.
towers make up probably 10%, maybe not even. Very small portion of it. Now, whether they take the towers down all the way, that was an engineering question of the integrity of the material behind the veneer. And from what they're saying, from what I'm hearing, it's gonna go down to the roof level. But you still, when they say they're gonna damage the roof, you still have to, you don't know what that's gonna be till you open it up. And that's basically what that letter says. They're gonna have to follow the letter of law in DB with, and usually what they have on the roofs, the tar has fiber, asbestos in it. And immediately DEP's called, you have to get F&G is qualified to even take it out.
Licenses.
Right.
F&D is a reputable demolition company.
Right, go ahead.
So Mr. Shutter, mentioned, like homeless people. Do you know if there are people living in these buildings right now?
At this point, I do not know.
Right there, from what my understanding is that it was prior to the fence, prior to the collapse. The police were there on a regular nightly basis along with the caretaker. They used to break in the back of the church and come in through that way. That hasn't happened. What my concern is now that winter's coming is the school, because the school's more of a building that could be,
It's more hospitable.
right,
Right.
correct. And what concerns me is, you know, somebody going in there and lighting a fire to keep warm and those kind of things. I mean, we have plenty of those other buildings, capabilities in town, but I think when we leave an open building, we're inviting trouble. So I know they'll, maybe fix the glass, but I think it needs to go beyond that. I think it needs to be boarded and secured. They used to do that back in the day. They used to put plywood up and all.
And again, that's the commissioner's call.
Right.
If there's a building that you have that problem, the commissioner can say, we're gonna go and board it. And then they send the bill to the,
So you can talk to him
Landlord.
about that? Okay, great.
how's that?
Just one more quick thing. Is there any way that we can get the Board of Health involved in this?
It's not a Board of Health issue,
Well,
it's a building issue.
So it's not a, all right, if you say so.
That's-
I mean, when you're looking at structurals, building, occupying and that stuff, I mean,
Was that a Board of Health meeting 2
there
weeks
should be
ago?
nobody in that building with those towers the way they
I was
are.
at a Board of Health meeting 2 weeks ago, they were throwing somebody out of their house. because
Right.
of a
If,
truck accident.
Habitability, that was.
the thing is, if it's a health hazard, because a lot of times you have hoarders with the health hazard, which we ran into on Idlewood and a couple other places.
Yep, that's,
You're talking about rats, you're talking about hoarders, that's a different issue than structurally construction volume.
Does the Board of Health handle, I shouldn't say, but inspections handle blight plus the Board of Health handle blight?
so that's an interesting question, and I don't know the division, because the way we were previously set up with Mr. Pelletier wearing both hats, I do know that during the interview of the incoming health director, he did get involved in blighted properties through housing inspections and things in the previous communities. So perhaps once he's here and we work with the interim, we can have somebody looking at it.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Believe there's two ways to look at blighted. Blighted is structural,
Yep.
or blighted is health-wise.
Yep.
So it depends on who it falls under.
Right.
It's not a matter of, is it all fall under Board of Health or all fall under the building commissioner?
Yeah.
No, I think
It-
They could
you are
overlap.
correct. It
There's two different aspects there.
You're right in what you're saying, and as the TM said, we had
Right, he's wearing both hats.
we're wearing both hats.
Right.
Now we have a health inspector and you have a commissioner, and I think the inspections department works hand in hand. Even if the position's split, they're in the same office.
Right.
If it's a trash, environments and infestation, you're gonna have the health department hand in hand with that building commissioner. So I have all the faith in the world that
Right.
once the position is filled, we're gonna be in good shape
Right.
for the blight.
As it works now, in many instances that, because we don't have somebody there, I'm aware of a lot of the different complaints that come in. A lot of the inspections that go on right now, Mr. Julian is going out with, say, Ms. Quinn, one of our health inspectors for housing issues. So he's looking at the structural aspects, she's looking at the habitability aspects, so as Councilor Wazzle said, it tends to be hand in hand on a lot of these issues.
That's why it's nice, the inspections department's all together. I think the only inspector that's outside of it is the fire inspector. He works out of the fire department, but they're in close contact on everything anyway.
Yeah.
Any further discussion under the update?
Nope.
So next meeting, we'll just have a follow-up and see what happens with the 7-day. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Julian. We have a second by Rivas. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Adjourned.